All right, folks. First and foremost, tin is sell. All right, I said it. I said it right. Tin is sell. All right, tin is sell. Got it. Anyways, this is part 2 of the response video to the other video I put up where I asked if we're too critical of Toriyama. I'm going to go ahead and read the remaining comments and comment on them. I'm not going to do this too often because as this channel grows, it's going to become very difficult to keep track of every comment. I'm going to try to reply to as many as I can, but there's going to be some that I just can't get to because it's just, well, I mean, maybe. We'll see, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get to that point at some point. Anyways, before we keep going, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Comment, of course, spread the word about this channel. Dragon Ball is topic number 1 here, but there's going to be other stuff talked about too, as the weeks go by when we need to add more content. So we'll be doing that very, very soon. Also, I just finished editing a new episode of Dragon Ball In Depth that should be up probably in a few days, maybe even tomorrow after you hear this. I haven't decided yet, but I'm just gonna say this: if and it's the vocal minority, but those who have an issue with me saying the word "cyan" and pronouncing it like that, oh, get ready. But I'm very proud of it. I thought it was a pretty good video, and but it's not up to me. It's up to y'all to tell me if I suck or not. And if I do, tell me and we'll fix it. And if I don't, then we'll keep going. Anyways, let's get back to the responses here. And I'm going to start with Tinnicell, who has a few points to make here. Let's go ahead and knock these out of the park. Number 1. He says, I got a few points to make. Number 1, for me, I hate that he introduces concepts but never follows up on them. The evil Kais, 12 universes, etc. These ideas should be left in a sketchbook, and the best ideas should be utilized, not just mentioned. It's like he made Battle of Gods his own sketchbook where he just throws down his ideas. Yeah, it's almost like he got really, really creative and then just dumped it onto a movie and didn't really know how to follow up when really, and everybody was talking about this on YouTube and in the community all over the place. It's a very logical progression. You introduce the 12 universes. You have Beerus say that there's people who are pretty strong, just like me. Goku gets excited, and you do it. You find a way to get to the other universes, whether it be Goku's own greed of combating people who are stronger than him that he wants to challenge, or Vegeta's own greed, or maybe a new villain shows up and opens the portal, or maybe some other god is upset at Beerus and Whis for tampering with the world. I don't know. There's a million ways to do it. There really are a million ways to do it. Or you could just ignore it completely, but why would you even... I mean, I guess it could just be that Beerus wanted to tell Goku that no matter what, there's always somebody better. But again, we've already learned this lesson, and the fact that Beerus beat Goku kind of cements that, Number 2, are we expecting too much? Possibly, but my biggest fear and worry is that AT ends up going back over his own work, which he's already begun to do. This new blue SSJ, which replaces the iconic gold-haired look, is just silly. DBGT was bad, but it didn't really tarnish DBZ because AT wasn't involved. But if AT messes up now, then there will be no excuse. DBZ will be messed up and left as canon. Exactly. That's the thing that GT many fans considered to be a complete just abortion. I never thought it was that bad, but a lot of people do hate it. And they never even counted as part of being a TV show at all. I mean, and I was one of them for years. I would never watch GT. I would never even acknowledge it existed. Right now, I'm watching Dragon Ball with my fiance, like I mentioned in another video, and we're probably not going to watch GT. To be honest, when I get done with Dragon Ball, we're either going to move on to another show, or if she's in the mood for it, we might watch Abridged, because Abridged is awesome. But still, Abridged is kind of tough to watch right after you watch Dragon Ball Z. You kind of got to give it some time. Plus, we're watching the Japanese version only, so she's not going to get all the jokes where Team 4 Star makes fun of the dub. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's a very good point. Now that Toriyama's involved and Toriyama's writing these things, if something is a plot hole, it's Toriyama's plot hole now. And it's like you said, there's no defending it now. There's no defending it now. Number 3, as for AT explaining things, some things like launch, shapeshifting, and Frieza's race never really needed explanations as they weren't important to the plot. Now, somebody else made this point, and I agree completely. In my other video, when I talked about launch and shapeshifting and all that, I was just using that as an example of times when Toriyama has introduced stuff and never really expounded on it. That's all it was. Was it a poor example? Yeah, I'll admit it. Maybe it was a poor example. But Tennizel continues by saying, but things like Vegeta going blue SSJ needs explaining. I agree. Frieza's training, all these are crucial to the plot as we need to know how and why things are happening. I had one YouTuber say that, we really don't need to see Frieza train. And he makes a point in the sense of we don't need to see a long training we don't need to see that take up a lot of time in the film. I feel that showing Frieza training helps to legitimize his power-up with the audience. I mean, not only do you have the potential of doing some really funny stuff with Frieza training and not really training properly, and, he doesn't know how to do a push-up. He's bitching the whole time. There's a lot of comedy that I think was left on the table, if you want to go that route. I was just hoping that they would play the F song, the Frieza song while he trains. I think that would have been incredible. Like, that would have been a great scene. I thought it was just a fun scene. And again, that scene's like 2 minutes. You don't have to take up 10 minutes of the movie. 2-3 minutes of him training, maybe even a 1-minute montage. That would have been fine. Toriyama and Toei are marks for 80s American movies. If you don't believe me, watch Dragon Ball. Watch Dragon Ball, from the beginning. You'll see it. So I don't see why I didn't put it in there. And then he concludes, all these are crucial to the plots. We need to know how and why things are happening. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that will help legitimize Frieza as a real threat, which apparently he's not even a threat in the movie at all, it seems. But I guess we'll see. 4, I hope he makes a new series instead of a movie. A series will help explain things more, give more time to characters, which is a big thing. Other characters need time to shine, you're right, and it will flow more easily. It might be expensive, but in the long run, I think it'll be worth it. It actually would probably make a lot of money. So expensive, yeah, but it's going to make the money back at least for a while. I think it depends on how much the market really wants to see another Dragon Ball Z TV show. But it really is going to have to be... here's the thing. I can see the movies making money. A TV show, I think it will do fine, but I don't think it's going to hit the level that Dragon Ball Z hit in the 90s, and that's kind of what they want. And I personally feel like if they don't hit those levels, they're going to start making excuses about how to move it forward or get rid of it. Corporate America sucks like that, yo. Corporate America, or corporate Japan, all corporations, when they don't see results, and there's evidence of this in... do some research on the Yakuza. Do some research on what happened. Look at Toriko. Look what happened with that. So do some research on that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. If it doesn't do what they want, what they project, they're going to cut it. So, but you're right. A new series would be better. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I don't see it happening because he was already offered the gig. I don't think he wants to do that. But like I said, a series of movies, one a year for like 5 years, I could dig that. You could still do it. 5, last point, I think Toriyama needs to just tie up any loose ends with DBZ and leave it alone and its place in history. I grew up with DBZ, and to this day remains my favorite show of all time. I really don't want DBZ to end like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Beyblade. Beyblade, I haven't heard of that in years, but then maybe that's just me. All shows I grew up with but kept going and turned to crap. Pokemon kind of turned to crap early. Maybe you won't agree with me, but after season 1, maybe season 2, like when they did the whole thing with the Orange Islands and shit, I kind of lost interest, man. Like that's just me. Now, I still played the video games and I still watched occasionally and I like the movies, but it kind of just, it started getting very repetitive. So you make a good point. Now, I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh or Beyblade, but I will take your word for it on that. And you're right, if shows end up going too long, man, they can start kind of wearing thin. Dragon Ball did, man. Dragon Ball, the Buu. I'll talk about it later in another video, but the last half of the Buu saga is a complete mess. Now, Meshack McDaniel wrote that he just introduced 12 universes. He actually made Resurrection F before he made Battle of Gods. So that's actually, I don't know where you got that from. That's false. I have not heard that anywhere, that he made Resurrection F first. I think what you're thinking of, sir, is that he heard the F song, which came out back in 2008. He heard the song and was inspired to do a new movie, but he didn't hear the song in 2008 and want to make the movie in 2008. The song came out in 2008, and then he heard it, and he actually autographed a picture of Frieza and gave it to the band, which was cool, I'm sure. And then last year, or maybe it was the year before, but last year's when he decided, after Battle of Gods, is when he decided to make this movie. Because the thing is, you got to understand that even though Toriyama had more creative control over this movie than he did Battle of Gods, Toei was definitely pushing him into it because they knew that it was going to make money. And don't get it twisted. Battle of Gods may not have been as successful as like the One Piece movie over there, because that movie broke records from what I understand. I don't follow it too much, but I read about it. But it was still very successful, especially internationally. Battle of Gods did great in the U.S., yo. It really did. So let's move on here. Spirit Wolf. Spirit Wolf, very knowledgeable. No, we are not expecting too much from Toriyama. A man of his stature should not be writing movies like this. He knows better. This new movie just undermined his guidebooks. With his guidebooks. Been trying to say about their powers for 15 years. Can we take his guidebook seriously? I think he's talking about the Daizen shoes, and I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, but it says here Goku nearly dying by a weak ring beam. SSJG Vegeta died from a planet buster. This is totally unacceptable. The planet buster thing's pissing you off, bro. I can just imagine the scowling face that you make when you read that. SSJG durability is terrible, sir. Sorbit's energy ring is a joke. Even the X-Man Colossus would have tanked that blast even if caught off guard. Yeah, he's made of adamantium and shit, bro. Go with your first mind, brother. The way Goku got taken out, Vegeta dying from a planet buster is now part of his legacy. Yeah, he's right. Your loyalty to Mr. Toriyama is admirable. That's not about loyalty, bro. I'm not trying to diss the guy. I'm just saying that I'm just wondering if I should even expect him to write better if this is how he's always written. That's kind of my thing. He must adapt with the times. Yes, that's where I'm conflicted right there. Or he will undermine everything he created with plot-induced stupidity and lazy writing. Either that or he lost his touch and needs to step down, let others within his legendary organization help him develop better stories. I have forgiven him, but Mr. Toriyama must never let his foolishness happen again. My opinion, of course. I think you're right. I think it's not ruined. I think if they do make a third film after Fakatsu no F, they can explain some of these things, and I hope they do. Like, I really, really hope they do, or they explain it in the expanded, whatever. Okay, so Meshack McDaniel writes, I think that something shouldn't be explained if it doesn't have an impact on future DBZ releases, like launches situation. I agree. I'm fine with that. It was just my example, bad example, sorry. But I think a lot of things haven't been explained because Akira Toriyama wants everything centered around Goku because he's the main character. Like the Saiyans, I think he introduced Vegeta or the Saiyan history because he wanted to make them stronger, I guess. Did I already read this one? No, I don't think so. You can make the story still about Goku and just explain things. I don't think that you can have one. You have to have one without the other. Let's see. John Preston. We might be expecting too much from him, but the first film, Battle of Gods, the story and the plot was great. And from that film, I was expecting to be even better. But I guess that's not the case. There's so many gaps in the story. I understand that Vegeta and Kakarot want to get stronger, but Vegeta and Kakarot never train with each other, so why would they train with each other? What's the reason Frieza and Goten and Trunks and I'll be in the movie just sucks? I'm reading it just how it's written here, folks. That's my opinion. I believe you can do better. I know you can do better. The only good thing is Vegeta's transformation, like I said before. Yeah, but that also has no explanation. They haven't explained how Vegeta's able to do that, and I don't think they do in the movie. You know, he didn't do the ritual unless he did it off screen, unless he inherited the power somehow, unless Beerus and Whis taught him. And that's the thing. They don't even have to show. They don't even have to show it. They could have just had Vegeta say, I'm going to show you what I learned from Whis. Boom, he transforms. That's it. That explains it. Whis taught him. Whis can do anything. Motherfucker can reverse time. That's fine. Thank you, Toriyama. Move on to the next one. That's all I'm saying. All right. Corey and the Pussy, who did not like Battle of Gods, and that's okay. He says, BOG set my standards for Toriyama extremely low. All I wanted was for Vegeta to be the main role and finish off Frieza. But honestly, I was already expecting this, but nobody believed me. It looks like I was right. Well, blame that fucking Redditor and fucking these YouTubers taking it to heart. I called bullshit from day one on that one, by the way, folks. Looking at this from a critical standpoint and putting nostalgia aside, his writing is really poor. In DB, he gave everyone time to shine. Sure, there's a shit ton of inconsistencies, but it was one of the first of his time. Personally, I feel like in Z, he took a dip in quality. That's a very, very valid point that a lot of people don't like to make. And that's one that maybe I'll do a video on, because the fact is, and this is not the end of Corey's comment, but I'm going to step in for a second. Even though, again, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are one big story. In many ways, though, the Dragon Ball portion is better. A lot of people don't want to accept that because, it's comedy at first, and, it doesn't have explosions and Frieza and all that. Like, I totally get it. And Dragon Ball Z is more action-packed, but there's a lot of things about Dragon Ball that they got right ahead of Dragon Ball Z, especially like in that middle of Dragon Ball, like the latter half of Red Ribbon, because I honestly feel like the first half of Red Ribbon is very boring. That's my opinion. Latter half is better. There's a lot of things they did that I thought that, were better than Z. I totally get that, and I might do another video. It's been tossed around my head about different places where Dragon Ball should have ended, including maybe at the Frieza saga, maybe at the Cell saga, because in several ways, if you really think about it, even though I know a lot of you guys out there love Gotenks, love Gogeta, love Vegeta, love Janemba, love Buu, love all that shit, if you look at it from a story perspective, the Cell and the Frieza arcs are better endings than the Buu saga. The Buu saga ending is it's cool, but it's just, in my opinion, a step down from the Cell and the Frieza endings. I would actually put Cell at number one, but we'll talk about that another time. Corey says, you have mainly the science taking care of everything. The characters that were originally main characters in the OG series became side characters. That's true. Left in the dark and became uninteresting or useless for the most part. Yamcha. The plot was also really, really overrated from my perspective. Then you have BOG, which further proves this. And Fakatsu no F seems to be following the same formula, only with more action and Goku. I'm assuming from synopsis, take this with a grain of salt, doing everything yet again, which is really, 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 really repetitive and just downright boring at this point. Nobody wants to see the same shitty character always get the glory. Let others have a chance for once. Vegeta deserves more than anyone else after the countless times he's been tossed aside. And I know there's somebody else right now screaming, oh, you're a Vegeta fan. Oh, my thing as far as Vegeta goes, like I've said a million times, the fact that he didn't kill Frieza does not bother me that much. It bothers me a little bit, and the only reason why I say that is because Goku has defeated Frieza, Trunks has defeated Frieza, Vegeta has the most heat and the most history with Frieza, and I thought the entire purpose of bringing this motherfucker back was so Vegeta could get his win. Like, that's you bringing Frieza back resolves a lot of things and could have created an incredible movie. Imagine if Frieza comes back and kills Kid Trunks, who he confuses for Future Trunks. Because if it takes place a little bit into the future, maybe he's starting to look like Future Trunks. Maybe not exactly. He kills him, bro. And that's what makes Vegeta snap and rip this fucking guy's head off. He kills Vegeta, or he kills Trunks, beats up Buu, beats up Beerus. beats up Goku and Vegeta saves the day, people would have lost their shit in the movie theater, bro. They would have lost their fucking minds in the movie theater. You know what I'm saying? I thought Frieza was going to beat Beerus in this movie. I really did. You know, because typically when you're writing these kind of movies, and Toriyama's done this as well, you sacrifice the previous villain for the new villain. You know, kind of like how Trunks wiped the floor with Frieza and then tells Goku about the future and Dr. Gero and all that. Same shit, right? But anyways, it's just, what can you do? And Corey continues here. And he has a disclaimer. He says, surprisingly enough, this is my own opinion on the subject matter, so don't throw a fit if you disagree. The fact that people are using the excuse, well, he's getting kind of old, is complete BS. I agree. If you're going to continue a franchise like this one, you should damn well know how to keep it going and how to write it properly. I feel like he's not even trying at this point because of that. Trust me, as much as I love DBZ, I just want the series over. It's like I'm seeing a chunk of my childhood getting burned down to bits. Yeah, the age thing to me... George R.R. Martin is like 150, and he's writing these fucking Game of Thrones books, and motherfuckers are fucking licking his ass, talking about how a great writer he is, and he is a good writer, and he's like 150, so there's no excuse. Ashutosh Jain, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but I like this guy. Akira Toriyama, one of the best writers who gave us such great series in manga like DB, DBZ, etc., built himself built up his good writer image, and people watched DBZ and started to expect more and more because of his good writing. I think we are expecting Toriyama to put his efforts in the movie, or should I say he should put Toriyama in the movie himself. Conclusion is that no, we are just expecting normal Toriyama style written within movie. So he's basically saying that we shouldn't be expecting anything more, I guess. So, well, what can you do? I mean, that's his opinion. I don't know what to say. It kind of makes sense here as far as what he's saying. But that's it. I mean, I've ran through all of the questions there pretty much. The only thing that I want to add is that Julian Silva, I don't know if you're listening right now, but I can't reply to your comments. I don't know why. It's not letting me. There's like no reply button, bro. I don't know what the fuck's going on with this shit. But you asked on a different YouTube, you asked, why is it that the world of Dragon Ball changed from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z? It didn't really change. I'm not really sure what you're referring to. 5 years passed, but it's kind of the same shit. And then he puts, does anyone else like Dragon Ball sometimes more than Dragon Ball Z? And that's what I kind of touched upon earlier, is that a lot of people don't want to give Dragon Ball its fair shake, but Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are the same show. But if you want to divide them, there are things that Dragon Ball did better than Dragon Ball Z. I mean, really, the tournaments were great. The Tenshin Han, like how he turned good guy. The if you want to talk about great storytelling, great Toriyama storytelling. In fact, I would say some of his best. Rewatch that last tournament. Everything. You got to watch it from start to finish, man. You got to understand. I'm watching this. You guys. So I'm watching the show with my chick, and she's never seen Dragon Ball at all, ever. And I know what the hell she did when she was a kid. I know. I made fun of her over this shit. So she's watching Goku as a kid for fucking 135 episodes or however many it is, right? And then he is all of a sudden an adult, and it was jarring, bro. Like she couldn't. It took her a couple episodes to get used to it, and we're so used to adult Goku, man. But it was new to her. That's how it was for the Japanese, I'm sure. But check it out. The way they built up the entire show and they climaxed it with that tournament, it's fucking brilliant, bro. You want to talk about Toriyama being, oh, he's a lazy writer? Here's an example of Toriyama not being fucking lazy. He's got the son of Piccolo coming back. God Kami comes in the tournament dressed up like Shen. The chick who he met when he was a kid comes back to marry his ass. Tile Pai Pai comes back, and he has to finish up his storyline with Tenshin Han. There's all these characters from the past that come back. So, in many ways, and this is going to sound weird, but if you do take just Dragon Ball, forget Dragon Ball Z ever happened, and it's the story of a kid who ends up growing up. He loses 2 tournaments in a row. semifinals. Another great. That is great storytelling. You put sympathy on the good guy, and he wins in the end. Loses 2 tournaments in a row. At the end, faces his greatest opponent yet, and fucking wins. And then he gets married. Like, that's a perfect soap opera. Like, think about it. He's a kid. He meets these people. He meets these other people. He vanquishes his army. He fights a damn demon. He climbs up the tower to meet God. He trains with God. He has to defend the earth from God. They have this epic freaking battle. And then he ends up getting married. And that's how the show ends. That's perfect. Like, if it would have ended right there, it's perfect. It's perfect. But I love Dragon Ball Z too. So what do you want me to tell you? But, don't sleep on Dragon Ball, folks. And, yeah, so anyways, that's it for this video. Again, thanks, everybody, for your support. I'm not going to be able to answer all these all the time like this. I'm really not. But I do have another Q&A coming based on some questions that I got before, so I'll drop that soon, as well as a new Dragon Ball in-depth. I really want to get those Dragon Ball in-depths, like, out there and just... You know, it's tough, man. Some of these Dragon Ball YouTubers have fucking 150,000 freaking subscribers. Maybe I should just play a bunch of video games and put it up or something. I don't know. But those guys are good, man. Those guys are cool. Well, most of them are. Anyways, I'm out of here. See y'all soon. I'll catch you down the road.